Hey besties, and welcome to the mindset of burnout recovery, breaking free from stress addiction. If you are a millennial who is feeling overworked, stressed out, and trapped in the cycle of burnout, you're in the right place. I'm Peter Guz, human design and mindset coach for burnt out millennials, and I'm so glad you took this first step. So let's get right to it. You're burnt out, beyond your brink. And yeah, it could be the job, especially with the toxic work environment, but even when you've tried changing things, you keep ending up back in the same place, right? It's time to explore the real solution to burnout recovery. What if I told you that the key to your liberation lies not just in shifting habits, but in rewiring your mindset of subconscious beliefs? There's no doubt that healthy habits for nervous system regulation are important, but it's really hard to rest when there's a voice playing in the back of your mind that constantly talks you out of it because it's not productive enough. There's something deeper at play that keeps us stuck in this burnout cycle. And it begins by realizing that your beliefs about your level of worth and productivity are wreaking havoc on your brain and body. And it's not even your fault. Your subconscious addiction to stress may have had benefits in the past, like the validation and approval from others, but now that same subconscious program is running your life, keeping you stuck, addicted to cortisol and adrenaline, where your body now craves those stress hormones in order to keep your body going at the rate that you've been demanding of it. And while that mask you've been wearing for the past few decades, the one where you tell everyone that you're doing just fine and then proceed to continue people pleasing and overcommitting as a way to prove your enoughness, that one. It's kept you safe from being seen as not enough, but now it's also keeping you stuck, living a life that is controlled by cortisol, adrenaline, stress, and anxiety. Instead of waking up already stressing out about the day, imagine waking up with excitement, purpose, and the motivation to actually start going after your goals. We're about to unravel the secrets to breaking free from stress addiction and unlocking your limitless potential. Look at this as your chance to evaluate the return on the investment that you're getting from this repeated cycle of burnout. Are you ready to say goodbye to burnout, stress, and that gnawing feeling of, is this it? Are you tired of the endless cycles of burnout? Are you done with the mental chatter that convinces you to push yourself harder even when you are exhausted? If you've been nodding along, then listen closely because the answer might be a little unexpected. All right, so let's unpack how we got here and most importantly, how to escape. First, let's talk a little bit about what a normal stress response looks and feels like. Say you're taking a leisurely stroll at night around the block, and you hear a rustle in the bushes, and out jumps a skunk. Your amygdala instantly recognizes this as a threat and sends the messages to your sympathetic nervous system that prepares your body for fight or flight. Your heart rate increases, your breathing becomes faster, and during this time, all of the blood flow gets sent to the extremities of your body so that you have the energy to get away. But once you realize that you've avoided being sprayed, you continue on your walk, your brain senses that the danger is gone, and within about the next 3 minutes, your body will return to a state of rest and relax. This is normal stress. It's the type of stress that keeps us alive and safe. But this response isn't just for physical threats. It's also activated by emotional stressors, where the exact same response gets turned on when you get that unexpected email or phone call, or when the economy gets bad and we begin to fear layoffs and hardships. See, unlike physical threats, emotional stressors linger, and our brains struggle to perceive when the danger is past. This manifests as worst-case scenario thinking. The last-minute meeting request becomes a worst-case scenario prediction where we think it means we're going to get fired. The bad economy becomes a worst-case scenario prediction where we think we're going to get laid off and lose it all. And we end up overworking ourselves to avoid these scenarios, thus perpetuating stress. So the rock splashes of everyday stress become lasting ripple effects because of our destructive thought patterns. Our mindset and subconscious addiction to stress takes root here. And when unexpected changes cause stress to take over, our emotional brain reigns supreme, suppressing our logical decision making. This is where the subconscious mind steps in, fueled by past memories, beliefs, and emotions. It's survival mode, not the time for goal setting or manifesting. It's simply a mode of reacting, an emotional reaction driven by the subconscious that then kicks off the physical hormone changes and mental thought patterns associated to that emotion. And the sad truth, especially for millennials, is that unexpected changes have happened so often and so dramatically in our lives that this state of chronic stress has become our default operating mode. Whether it was 9/11 or something even before that, we've become conditioned to always be prepared for the next bad thing or the next unprecedented historical event around the corner. And based on how our brains have been programmed to protect us from potential threats, especially in the workplace, this conditioning talks us into working harder, seeking validation through overcommitment and stress. Your brain is just using what it knows best from your subconscious and its past to keep you safe. As long as I keep working my butt off, as long as I'm stressed, as long as I'm people-pleasing and overcommitting, nobody will see me as not enough, and I'm safe. The brain uses what it believes to be true from the past to drive your thinking, actions, habits, and behaviors in the present. And I'm not just talking about your past as in the last few years. This goes all the way back to the ages of 0 to 7 years old, where your brain is doing most of its programming based on what you observe and model from others around you. And for so many of us, those young years of our lives revolved around one thing that only got reinforced as we grew up: competition. Get the good grades so that you can get into a good college, participate in all the activities, get that degree so you can have the American dream. Survival of the fittest. And the learned behavior tells you that the validation and approval comes from productivity and achievements. So the subconscious belief is formed that says, I'm not enough unless I'm constantly producing and achieving. And as we grew up, we sought out evidence that confirmed the same belief, that my level of worth comes from my level of productivity and achievement. And when all those other stressful events like 9/11, mass shootings, recessions, and everything you've heard on the news every night, your stressed out brain used what it knew from the subconscious to keep you safe. Work harder, keep grinding, keep spinning on the hamster wheel. And here we are today, trying to use the same self-protection mechanisms that we used to gain mom and dad's approval 30 years ago as a way to achieve our goals today. Work really hard, stress yourself out, and maybe eventually someone will recognize me. Your brain craves those stress hormones to make sure you're keeping up in the competition of the rat race. And we burn ourselves out to the point where the repeated emotions of stress become too much. So we stuff them down. Dissociation becomes a default habit to avoid confronting our subconscious addiction to stress. Until we get to this point of freeze, where we just completely check out because there's no energy left to do anything. And our cortisol levels become drained. This is where burnout begins to manifest as dis-ease in the body, like adrenal fatigue. But we stay stuck because the biggest fear we have as humans is change. Change requires stepping away from an old identity and creating a new one, and the energy required to do just that. So we end up avoiding change, because even though our current reality may not make us happy, at least it's in our comfort zone and known. Change requires us to step outside of what we've known to be true and held on to as a belief for so long. And so because of this, our beliefs become self-fulfilling prophecies that keep us stuck and afraid of change in exchange for the safety of our comfort zone. And too many people will stay stuck like this for their entire lives, living a life according to the expectations of others in society. There was a study done once where hospice nurses caring for patients in the last days of their lives asked those individuals if they had any regrets. And by far, can you guess what the biggest regret was? I wish I lived a life more true to myself and not the expectations of others. So ask yourself, who are you trying to seek validation from? Who are you looking for approval from? And what would it take for you to realize that you're enough, period, without conditions? The fact that you're watching this right now means you've already done the hardest part of becoming aware of the real problem. But now comes the question. Will you let stress continue to dictate your life? Or will you invest in your own well-being and regain control of your mind? You might be wondering, can I really make this change? But I want you to consider this as well. The biggest risk is staying stuck in the same cycle and becoming one of those people that have the same regrets at the end of life. You've done the hard part. You've recognized the problem. Now it's time to take that leap of faith into a brighter, more empowered future. And this is where you don't have to go it alone. The framework has already been built. You just have to be willing to commit to it. So, what is the framework? The Millennial Reset Framework is a unique and powerful combination of human design and NLP mindset coaching. NLP, or Neuro-Linguistic Programming, is a practice that's based on the work of some of the most effective therapists and psychologists out there. It's a systematic approach of using language patterns and how your brain naturally functions in order to rewire the neural networks that create your meaning of reality. It's what the most successful corporations pay thousands of dollars to learn so that they get to control your thinking. But it can also be used for good, like using the same techniques to change your own perceptions of the past, change your current internal emotional state, and to program your mind for your desired future. See, to change our reality, we've got to change the program, the algorithm of our mind. And to change the algorithm, we have to change the beliefs that are creating the filters for that algorithm. And to change the beliefs, we need to both challenge the existing beliefs to let it go and create a new belief system that fosters your intentions. And this is where human design comes into play. Because when you're letting go of an old belief system and identity, you need to have something to replace it with. Human design provides that foundation to live in more alignment with your authentic self. Human design is a combination of astrology, the Chinese I Ching, quantum physics, and much more. Think about it as astrology on steroids. It provides you with a concrete way of understanding yourself. You have your physical DNA that explains your eye color, hair color, etc., but you're so much more than your physical self. We're all energy and matter happening simultaneously. E equals mc squared. So human design can be thought of as your energetic blueprint, a way to understand your most authentic identity when all the conditioning is stripped away. And it can serve as a really powerful foundation to begin doing the work of creating a new system of beliefs and mindset that's based on who you were born to be instead of who society programmed you to become. It's the power of these two puzzle pieces coming together as one that completely changed my life and so many others that were looking for another option aside from therapy or ignoring it. In 30 days, you could have a whole new outlook on life. In 4 weeks of live group coaching calls, you're going to be guided through this entire framework from start to finish. It's structured in 4 steps, or what I call the 4 R's of the Millennial Reset Framework. The first is to recognize the beliefs that are keeping you stuck and the events and experiences from your past that created those beliefs in the first place. The second is regulate and recover, because you're going to need the full energy of your logical thinking brain to do the real inner work. So you're going to get weekly content and videos sent to your email with specific strategies and habits for nervous system regulation. The third R is the reprogram piece. We'll spend 1 hour each week together diving into the powerful NLP strategies to reframe your perception of the past, challenge those destructive what-ifs that are running your life, and begin to reprogram your mind for your desired future based on a new set of beliefs and values. And the fourth R is rediscover. Rediscovering your authentic identity through a one-on-one human design analysis, where you're going to learn all about your specific body graph and what it means. This isn't just another program, it's a movement. It's your chance to reclaim your life from burnout and stress and unfulfilled potential. We're creating a community of like-minded individuals who are ready to thrive. So if you're still watching this, then perhaps this is your sign from the universe. Are you ready to step into your power, to release the grip that stress has had on your life, to rewrite your story and create a life that aligns with your authentic self? Hey, maybe you weren't ready for change in the past because you didn't have a roadmap. But if you are finally ready to do the inner work with a guide by your side, then I'm saving a seat for you. This is your passport to transformation and empowerment. Are you ready to claim it? The only thing stopping you now is the belief that's been talking you out of change up until today.